Man, I've been wanting to see this movie for forever, ever since the trailer came out in... Oh, sorry. Guess I was having a Doug Funny moment. So The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is a remake of a 1940s film starring Danny Kaye, who is awesome. It's about a guy who daydreams a lot because he lives a very boring life. He is picked on by his boss, and he is secretly in love with the beautiful girl at his work, and suddenly he is thrown into a journey that forces him out of his comfort zone and to grab life by the horns and slap into a Slim Jim. Slap into a Slim Jim? It's basically the first Hobbit movie without wizards or dragons. I know, why would you watch that? Now, the film stars and is directed by Ben Stiller. I like Ben Stiller. I think he's a funny guy sometimes. I think he's a very capable director. I do think he is at his funniest, though, when he is playing a completely strong, strange character and not just, oh, I'm Ben Stiller, I'm awkward and I'm stammering. That being said, though, he can act, and he plays the very quiet and serious moments in this movie pretty well. So the original story for this movie is about a guy who creates these elaborate fantasies that you watch and you go into, and it mixes in with this story about like a jewel robbery, and it's a very light, very comedic film. This movie feels like it kind of wants to be a light comedy about a daydreamer, but also wants to be a feel-good, discovering yourself indie type movie, and the two don't really blend together very well. There's a scene where he's daydreaming that he is together with the girl he has a crush on, except they're together in a Benjamin Button kind of a scenario, which is kind of funny. Then you put that scene next to a scene where he is playing soccer in the sunset against beautiful indie music, and you're like, is this the same movie? It wants to balance the comedy and the inspiration, and really it should have just gone one way or another. It just strides the fence and ends up being rather shallow. One thing that complements both these aspects, though, is the cinematography. It is a beautiful looking movie. It's so gorgeous to look at that there's no doubt that I'll see this again on Blu-ray. I'll probably just make a playlist on my computer and play that over it and turn the sound on the TV down. Kristen Wiig from Saturday Night Live plays the girl that he has a crush on, and I gotta give her credit. She does a lot with what she's given. Unfortunately, she's just not given very much to do. She's more of a plot device than an actual character. The one who really suffers, though, is Adam Scott as Walter's new boss, which the funniest thing about him is his beard. He's just your stereotypical jerk boss who's more of a cartoon and a not funny cartoon. But Shirley MacLaine has a nice little part, Sean Penn has a nice small role as the adventure seeker photographer that Walter looks up to, and those small scenes that Walter does share with them are genuinely touching. This movie feels like it's made of different pieces that some of them sort of work, but most of them just really don't. Now, I'm not against the story of the white man who's trying to break out of his boring life and find himself. There's just so many other movies that do it way better than this one. I mean, it might be the best looking of those kinds of movies, but it's not nearly the most effective or poignant. There's just some really embarrassing slap your face moments just sprinkled throughout. There's like a really obvious Papa John's commercial just like stuck in the middle there. There's some really wretched dialogue. There's a really awkward plot point that comes in like 30 minutes into the movie where it's like, oh yeah, Walter Mitty's really boring, but he's an amazing skateboarder. What? I wonder if that will come back later in the movie. There are slight moments of relevance, and it's gorgeous to look at, but it's too obvious, it's too uneven, and I can't say I'd really recommend it, so I give it a C. Sadly, this is one of those situations where the trailer ends up being way better than the actual movie. I mean, when I saw that trailer,